I'm going to say some cliche topics. It's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. It's not what happened to you, it's how you respond to it. So all of these is a response to something that happens in your life. So everything at the end of the day comes up to two things. It's a time, most emotions, all the emotions that are negative are in two columns. They're either in the past or in the future, or they're in outer space. All the negative emotions are in three categories. They're in the past, the future, or in outer space. They're in the past or the future or outer space. I'm going to explain to you why. So fear can be both in the past and the future. Why can fear be both in the past and the future? Okay. Fearful of what might happen becomes worry. So a fear and worry can be the same thing. Fear can be in the past because you can have fear because of something that happened, and then when you walk by it, it reminds you of the past, and all of a sudden you're like frozen up. You know what I mean? Because that you could walk down a specific hallway, and that hallway made you remember about something traumatic, so you get fearful. And also your DNA can contain and hold fear. Your body holds fear. So a session of this workshop is supposed to show you how to alternate your emotions from your body using your body, because it gets stuck in your body and it gets stuck in your DNA. So fear gets stuck in your body and your DNA. So if your mom was fearful when she was having you, you can become a fearful person. If your mom was angry, you can become an angry person. If your grandparents was angry, you can become angry and fearful. So not only are these emotional states happening in the past or the future, they also are ancestral emotional states. So do you know what the ancestral emotional states are? So ancestral emotional states are the sum total of how your ancestors were like. I'm Haitian. I'm still trying to understand why all Haitian mothers are almost all the same. So I don't know, you know Haitians in here? Yeah. You know Haitian mothers. Most Haitian mothers are very similar. I'm like, why are they all the same? It's almost like they say the same thing, they react the same. Not all of them. I know my stepmom, I know my mom, and I know some other Haitian moms, but I've seen moms on media that are Haitian, and it's all the same thing. So let me give a couple examples. Don't take this the wrong way, okay? So Haitian moms sometimes tend to nag their kids, right? All Caribbean, maybe they tend to, that's a negative words. But what I mean by that is, don't do this, do that. Hey, did you know that my parents, when I was in Wake-up, they also say negative things too to you. Be like, you're just like your father and mother. Like, you're just like your uncle. Like, I don't even know my uncle. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's like, so all of that get passed down to you. So it gets passed down biologically, emotionally, and psychologically. So your brain gets those and it gets attached to you. So what am I explaining? It's important to know that, because unless you know why you're acting a certain way, you can't take the action steps to realize that, oh, I'm just getting in my way. That all of these things are literally non-existent. So, all right, let's put everything in the column right here. So where is grief? Where do you think grief is at?
Past.
Grief is in the past?
Yes.
Why is grief in the past?
It's
experience, and it's a loss, or you remember. Grief is a result of remembering how you were with a person, whether in a relationship. So that's why when you break up with somebody, you go to a grieving state. Some people call it heartbreak. Grief breaks your heart literally. So one of the things that we do for grief is to open up your lungs and open up your chest area and your heart, because your heart is literally damped and broken because of grief. So grief hurts your heart. It keeps it damp. Now, why? Because you're remembering the memories that you had with those people. So now you're living in the past and you're like, I wish they were here in the present, right? So grief happens in the past. And can you grieve somebody in the future? How would that work? How can grief be in the future? Grief can be in the future. Here's how. Because when a time of the past happens the next year, it reminds you of the past. So, for instance, if I lost my grandma in January, when next January comes, I'm gonna remember what I used to do with my grandma and how I lost her in January and I don't have her. If I lost her on Christmas, now that's even more turmoil because I can literally remember Christmas, waking up, getting all excited, and then my spirits were broken. So when I wake up on Christmas Day, I'm like, man, I can't even enjoy it. Everybody's like, I'm having a great time. Your birthday can become a burden to you because maybe the last 3 years you had a bad birthday, you felt lonely, whatever. So now when it happens in the future, it seems like you're still experiencing the loss in the future. Now, I won't put it in this column chart, but I just wanted to make that connection. So another one is shame. What is shame in the present? Is it in the past or is it in outer space? That's a tricky one. Is shame in the present? Shame is in the outer space. So what is outer space? What do you mean by outer space? Outside of you? Okay. Actually, outside of you, yeah. Shame is outside. It's an outside force. It could be an assumption. Assumptions when you assume a certain thing, when you assume this person is perceiving you a certain way. So it's almost like it's happening outside of you. But by outer space, what I mean is the unknown. What I mean is like the only thing that matters is the present moment. Everything else that we come up on our head, I consider it outer space. What we think things are. How we think things are. This is how we're thinking. Let's say these are the planets of our thoughts and the beliefs, the ideals, the meanings we put on things. So whatever we put on as a meaning, for instance, for me is whenever I fall off like my awesome CEO routine, I feel shame because I hold myself to a high standard, right? But is that happening to me in the present? Is it happening to me in the past or in the future? Or am I just making up a story here? You know what I mean? So things that happen out of space are things that are bringing us out of the present moment. We're literally leaving the planet, making up stories, making up planets, coming up to conclusions. So I'm trying to make an analogy, but hopefully it worked out. So where does anger go? In the past or in the future? Anger is in the past? Anger is a lot in the past, isn't it? She did that to me. It was your fault. It was. Verbs, past tense. She did. He did. That was his fault. That happened. Because of that, this is what happening. He got on my nerves. You ever see?
But what about those people who are so angry that they say, "I'll never do that again. That will never happen again"?
Yeah. So that's when this is when the anger is it futuristic. This is where the anger gets encoded into this person's philosophy. So emotions can get encoded into the philosophy. That's why you say, "I'm just an angry person." That also goes back to the ancestral emotional attachments, right? So it becomes, okay, I'm just an angry person. Your emotions can become you if you let it. Your emotional states can be the person you are if you let it, but you program that with your words. So that's why it's important to watch your self-talk. It's a major thing I talk about. So you said anger can happen because it's happening in the past. And can somebody be angry about the future? Angry of what's to come? Where anxiety? Where is anxiety? Yeah, let me not put it. Anxiety is definitely in the future, but it's also in the past. So there's also, let's say there's primary categories and there's secondary categories that's more mental. The primary categories is actually what's causing it. The secondary category is the mental thing that sticks because of what's. Let me explain what happens. Anger here is number one category. It's in the past because I'm worried about something somebody did to me. This is what's causing it. It gets encoded into my subconscious mind that when it happens in the future, that I'm going to be angry at it again. So that's an encoding. But anxiety normally happens because of what's you're worried about the future, or maybe you could have social anxiety. You know what I mean? But what does that do? It keeps you living in the past. So each of these can start from one side, but then it encodes it in the other side. So if you're worried about the future, how does that relate to the past? If you're worried about the future. Mm-hmm. So I'm worried about the future. Mm-hmm. So how does the worry about the future, how does that encode into the past? That's worry without effective action leads to whatever you was doing, inaction. Inaction puts what's possible in the past. Inaction puts what's possible in the past. So if I'm worried about, I need to do this, I never did it, what was possible is now in the past. That's called procrastination. So worry often leads to procrastination. Because I'm so worried about it, I never got to it, so I put it in the past, and now when I'm in the present, I can't focus on the present, I'm still focused on the future, because I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I wish I did it. I did. So it went to the past now. Because of my worry, I'm playing between both past and future, and we're just like back to the future, back to the past. So you ever seen a Back to the Future movie when they was trying to go back to the same spot, and things, I don't even remember, but things got all messed up. And at some point, one of the guys just said, I totally forgot, I didn't even remember, my life is all confused. It's just like, I don't even remember what happened. It's just like, because I switched between so much that I almost lost myself. So that's why we have to live in the present, because everything that's happening outside of us, only the present is where this self is really at. So in the present moment, we have true peace when we live in the present moment, because we're not worried of what's to come, and we're not fearful because of what happened. So now we can have a peace of mind, because when we're in the present, now we can be happy. We can express ourselves. So self-expression goes here in the present. So anything you hear over and over and over, you take it for granted. That's called the law of familiarity. So how many times somebody said, be in the present? All the time, right? You're like, really? Be in the present? That's the best you got to tell me? Right. But like, just focus on what's going on right now. Really? That's the best you got to tell me? Focus on the present? Well, this happened, and this is going to happen if I don't do this. I'm worried my health is going to deteriorate. This is happening. And they're like, focus on the present. So focusing on the present means letting go. Letting go of all these emotional states that are holding you back and creating your future. So when yourself is at this clean state, you're able to express and create. I call it the spirit of creation. When your present self can express itself enough and not clouded by all of these negative emotions.